Some time ago, Cindy and I were doing marital counseling for a couple that was really struggling in their marriage. I asked a question that I always ask in those type of counseling appointments. It is a question of reality and judgment. I want to see how clear they are in their thinking. So I asked the wife first, is there anything you can do to help the marriage? What do you need to stop doing and what do you need to get better in? Simple question. Her reply, I can't think of anything. She was basically saying, it's him and not me. She misjudged herself really badly. Welcome to the 260 journey into Revelation 3. It's a story of a church that was in the same boat as this deceived wife. The church of Laodicea was miles apart between their opinion of themselves and the actual reality of their situation. In fact, the distance between opinion and reality were worlds apart. You be the judge. This is Jesus speaking to the church of Laodicea in Revelation 3:14 and 17. To the angel of the church in Laodicea write, the Amen, the faithful, the true, the witness, the beginning of the creation of God says this, I know your deeds, that you're neither hot nor cold. I wish that you were cold or hot. So because you're lukewarm and neither cold nor hot, I'll spit you out of my mouth. Because you say, I'm rich and have become wealthy and have need of nothing, and you do not know that you are wretched, miserable, poor, blind, and naked. The apostle gave the church at Rome a warning in Romans 12:3. Listen to these words, because Laodicea didn't. It's verse 3 of Romans 12. Because of the privilege and authority God has given to me, I give each of you this warning. Here's the warning. Don't think you are better than you really are. Be honest in your evaluation of yourselves, measuring yourselves by the faith God has given us. The message says, don't misinterpret yourselves. Here's what's crazy. The Laodicean church proudly said, I'm rich, wealthy, and need nothing. That's their judgment of themselves. But the only opinion that counts is how God sees us. And in verse 17, you have both reality and opinion. Listen to Jesus' reality of their opinion. Jesus said, you do not even know that you're wretched, miserable, poor, blind, and naked. Wow, can that be any different? Danish theologian Soren Kierkegaard couldn't have said it clearer when he said these words. It's so much easier to become a Christian when you aren't one than to become one when you assume you already are one. See, the assumption people get in a dark place and no deception is deeper and more destructive than religious deception. How does my opinion of me match what Jesus assesses me to be? Am I Laodicea, far off? I'm rich. Jesus says you're poor. I don't need anything. Jesus says you're blind and naked. Nothing is more dangerous than a deceived Christian, especially when the Spirit of truth resides in you. Here's a great prayer for us to pray every day from David in the Psalms. Chapter 139, verse 23. Investigate my life, O God. Find out everything about me. Cross-examine and test me. Get a clear picture of what I'm about. I have learned that there are a number of factors that put me in the Laodicea category of misjudging myself. When you are not properly assessing yourself, I've realized that one, I'm not reading my Bible. See, James says the Bible is a mirror. When I read it, I can see stuff out of place like I do physically in a mirror. When I misjudge myself, I am not praying. Prayer is where God talks and the Spirit convicts. When I misjudge myself, I'm attending church but not being pastored. I have no one speaking to the areas that need to be tweaked and examined. I find also I've surrounded myself with cheerleaders but no truth tellers. The last thing God says to this church is profound, and I've read it wrong for many years. Listen to Jesus in verse 20. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I'll come to him and dine with him and he with me. For decades, I used to preach on the streets of the inner cities of America, telling people that Jesus stands at the door of your heart and is knocking. Just let him in. And I used to use Revelation 3:20 for the sinners. Revelation 3:20 is not for the sinners, but for the Christians with really poor judgment. Jesus is knocking on the door of his own church. My question is, what is Jesus doing on the outside of the door? And how are you having the church of Laodicea going on without Jesus in the building? That's sobering and tells me that that can happen and probably is happening today. When Jesus is not on the inside, then I become the judge of myself, and that's not good judgment. If you hear Jesus knocking, drop everything and answer the door, please. Thanks for joining the 260 Journey.